There are 10 criteria that Sotheby's specialists consider when assigning prices to art, jewelry, wine, watches, and more. This is how we determine the value of art.
There are myriad ways of defining quality.
It's the intrinsic merit of the item.
Sometimes just the skill of the artist.
Technical innovation within the piece.
Can you look up close? Does it bear scrutiny?
Craftsmanship, which is really quality, is as close as you get to beauty.
It makes it special, it makes it unique, and it makes it unrepeatable.
It might be something really simple. It might be one line. It might be just the way that a figure's back is drawn, or it might be the texture, the impasto on the surface of an oil painting.
And a composition that really transcends generations, that perhaps is timeless in its beauty.
But more than anything, it's that magical element. You stand in front of an object and you feel something, you think something different. It's why we love what we do.
I think when you see a work of truly exceptional quality, I always feel that the artist arrived at something that possibly exceeded him or her. And actually, Gerhard Richter always talks about the chance involved with his abstract paintings. He says he knows the one that's completed when he knows it's exceeded him, and he arrives at a moment that is beyond his control.
At its highest level, quality can transform an object. For example, the firing of enamels can be controlled to some extent, but you're dealing with elements that are extremely difficult to control. So there's a random element there. And occasionally you can see enamels fired. They're like jewels. Incredible.
I think the most important thing when you're looking at a painting is how does it make you feel? When the Gentileschi Danae came to us for sale, that painting stopped you in your tracks. The way in which the artist had understood even the most simple folds of linen drapery. You were almost in the room with Danae, and I think that's quality. It might not necessarily need to be by the biggest name. On the other side of that though, those big names are big names for a reason.
The production processes that Ferrari employed, or Mercedes-Benz employed, or Duesenberg employed in 1929, their engines are a thing of beauty. It's a spectacular presentation. Just physically, just looking at it, it's a beautiful engine. The Alfa Romeo 23, 29, these were cars that were built in the mid-20s and were raced competitively for as many as 15 years after its production. You don't think of it as a race car, but you're looking at about 180 horsepower in a car that will exceed 100 miles an hour. That quality is something that lasts a lifetime. Many of these cars just will not change hands.
Collectors and specialists both have seen a lot, and when they see something that's different, something that's unique, something that's special, that's when things really, I think, take off in value. But I think that for us, and probably for collectors as well, quality is something that you react to kind of instinctively, and maybe the most subjective of all the criteria.
Quality in stones is pretty easy to determine because we go by the book. The pricing of diamonds is a formula as opposed to jewelry, where the value that you're creating is in the design and in the look and in the feel. I'm trying to think of this quote that I just read yesterday that was so brilliant. It was by Hutton Wilkinson for Tony Duquette. And he said when he was very young, he was invited to a glamorous dinner party and he sat next to a woman and he complimented her jewels. And she said they were by David Webb. And he said, those are the most magnificent emeralds I've ever seen. And her response was, really? Because when David Webb sold them to me, he said even the elephants in India have better emeralds than these. So that's a perfect example. David Webb loved those emeralds that he put in that jewel, and they were probably big, pale green carved emeralds, and they looked gorgeous, but they weren't that valuable as emeralds. What quality comes down to is understanding who was doing the design and how it came to be.